Greetings, Planeswalkers. Gamesman here. Got a kind of a cool blue-green deck to review today. I know when I first saw this card, Grolnok the Omnivore, I thought, interesting. I like the blue-green multicolor to it. And then one day I was just exploring my card collection and saw this card, Slogurk the Overslime. It's a legendary creature, Ooze, Trample. Whenever a land card is put into your graveyard from anywhere, put a +1/+1 counter on Slogurk. You can remove 3 counters from Slogurk and return it to its owner's hand. When Slogurk leaves the battlefield, return up to 3 target land cards from your graveyard to your hand. So between that and Grolnok's mechanic, whenever a frog you control attacks, mill 3 cards. As we're milling land cards into the graveyard, Slogurk is getting +1/+1 counters. Whenever a permanent card is put into your graveyard from your library, exile it with a Croaker card on it. You may play lands and cast spells from among cards you own in exile with Croaker counters on them. So as we're feeding cards into the graveyard by Grolnok's mill mechanic, we're getting +1/+1 counters on Slogurk, but we're still able to use them because Grolnok puts them into exile with Croak counters on them. So obviously these 2 cards are integral to the mechanic of this deck. It's a pretty cool combo. Obviously the drawback a little bit is they're both legendary, so we can only have one of them out at a given time, but I've got 4 copies in the deck of each, so we can continue to work towards getting this mechanic on the battlefield as the game goes on. So now, as in keeping with my normal concept deck review, we'll start over here. Ochre Jelly. Trample enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it. We can split this creature once we're in the mid to late game, and we can get this creature out fairly strong. It's got some staying power. Double major, we're going to copy target creature spell we control, except it isn't legendary if the spell is legendary. So this works well with both Slogurk and Grolnok among the other cards in this deck that I'll get to. We can create copies that are not legendary. Verazol, the Split Current, also a card with +1/+1 counters on it for each mana spent to cast. We can cast kick spells and remove counters from Verazol. We can copy that spell when we do. Another legendary creature and a rare card. So far, it's looking like a rare card deck. First 3. Obviously, Slogurk, which I've already reviewed. Quandrix Command. This gives us some utility in the deck. We can put more counters on one of the creatures. We can counter a spell. We can shuffle target cards from our graveyard to our library. So in the late game, if the library is getting thin and the graveyard's getting thick because of all the milling that Grolnok has done, we can reverse that a little bit if we need to. Splendid Reclamation. Return all land cards from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So all this milling we've done with these land cards to pump up Slogurk, and when any frog we control attacks, we bring all those lands back out, and of course, that's never a bad thing. All right, moving on to the 5 mana level, we've got Iymrith Desert Doom, gets us to draw cards. Sludge Monster, we can negate any of the mechanics of our opponent's cards, creatures if they're annoying. Ashaya, Soul of the Wild, is a land card, so we can get that back out using Splendid Reclamation. Consuming Blob, this is a cool card. Mythic. Consuming Blob's power is equal to the number of cards types among cards in your graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that number +1. We can create an Ooze creature token with this creature's power is equal to the number of card types among cards in your graveyard. So kind of a cool card in keeping with the Frogslime Horror theme. Spring-Leaf Avenger, we can get some of the cards from our graveyard to our hand. Unnatural Growth, any of those tokens that we have out. And since we've got a lot of creatures hopefully in this deck with the tokens, we can double power and toughness at the beginning of each combat. This is a great card. And then Tamiyo, Compleated Sage. Pretty cool Planeswalker, Mythic level. Tap up to one artifact, creature, or target artifact or creature. It doesn't untap during its controller's next untap step, so this can prevent taking any damage to our attacking Slogurk if we can eliminate blockers. Exile target non-land permanent card with mana value X from your graveyard. Create a token that's a copy of that card. So we've got stuff in the graveyard we can use to manipulate. And then once Tamiyo gets big enough, create Tamiyo's Notebook, a legendary colorless artifact token with spells you cast, cost 2 less to cast, and draw a card. Pretty awesome token right there. Avabruck Caretaker, great mythic card. Start putting more counters on our creatures. Vorinclex, this guy is awesome with this deck because whenever we put counters on creatures, we put twice that many, and our opponent puts half. So this is a no-brainer for this deck. Obviously, we've I don't think have we gotten even any uncommon cards yet. Granted, this is only a 63 card deck, but yeah, mythic and rare so far, all the way down. I apologize. All right. Jin Gitaxias, Progress Tyrant. That one's also making tokens. Old Gnawbone for the treasure tokens. Cultivator Colossus. Keep some lands in your hand to get this card to come out with a lot of land. And then the Tarask. I'm laughing at all the mythics and rares in this deck. It's kind of funny now that I look at it. I never really noticed that it had that many. In the past, the Tarask is a great card once you got the mana for it. And then, of course, all these different kinds of land cards. I put this one in particular because it has green and I can sacrifice it. Although, I don't know that I have any red in this deck, so that's kind of a mistake. I need to take that land card out because there's no red mana in here. That's kind of silly. Anyway, so give a like and subscribe. I'd appreciate it. If you can think of some other cards to add to this deck to kind of make it better, I'd appreciate it. I know there's some counter manipulation cards that would probably do very well in this deck. I haven't really reviewed it since I pared it down to only 63 cards because I had a lot more in here, and the combo of Slogurk and Grolnok wasn't happening often enough, so I pared it way down. And obviously I have some editing to do because this card's got to get out of here. I don't know why. I must have been tired when I put that one in. Anyway, fun deck to play. I've never seen that combo, I think, before in all the time I've been playing, but it's a cool surprise. I know the few times that I've played it and been able to keep this combo out, my opponent is noticeably irritated, and they typically bail fairly early on once they see the combo rolling. So this is the Gamesman. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it. Please like and subscribe, and I'll be putting more concept decks out soon. See you later.